Hi guys, happy Witchy Wednesday. So, alright, a lot of people are asking me, what is Baphomet? Alright, so Baphomet is literally the all female, male, good, evil, positive, negative. It's the balance in nature. So Baphomet is kind of, I don't know, what some people consider it. It's an it, because it is a hermaphrodite, both male and female parts. So it just personifies everything under one giant umbrella term. And it literally means kind of like baptized wisdom. So, it's the magician card. So if you look on the magician card, you have that same image of Baphomet. So Baphomet actually, Eliphas Levi, actually drew the first image of Baphomet. So, and then there are references to Baphomet as being female and slurping up the blood of others, something like that. And so it's kind of a really, really, really close tie with the goddess Kali. So we have quite a bit. We have quite a bit of information on Baphomet. So Baphomet is not evil. So I don't know why people think Baphomet is evil. But let's see, where did I go? Alright, so yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot of stuff on Baphomet, and we just have to find it. So, I mean, it's just really, really, really... Alright, so it's pretty interesting. It's very interesting stuff. So we don't know for sure if the Knights Templars actually worshipped this being with cloven hooves and the bottom portion of a goat and the upper portion of a man and a woman. So, right, now this is the book that I think everybody should read. So The Doctrine and Ritual of High Magic, Eliphas Levi. So this is what I recommend definitely for all of this. This is very philosophical, very in-depth information. So, right, so we have here, this is Eliphas Levi's interpretation of Baphomet, and it is the spirit of the earth standing on a cube surrounded by tongues of flame. So we see here the tongues of flame, reference to Kali. So he has for a phallus a caduceus, so, and the sun and the moon on his right and left breast. He is bearded, crowned, and holds a scepter in his hand. So this is Azoth of the sages on his pedestal of salt and sulfur. We sometimes give this image the symbolic head of the goat of Mendes. So the goat of Mendes, Baphomet, yeah, it's all mixed. So it is the Baphomet of the Templars, the goat of the Sabbath, and the verb of the Gnostics. So strange images were used as a kind of like a bogeyman for the vulgar after having been used in their meditation by the sages. So innocent hieroglyphs of thought and faith which were used as a pretext for the passion of persecution. So how unhappy men are in their ignorance, how they would despise themselves if they ever came to know it. So we actually have a lot about Baphomet in this book, and it's just scattered sporadically everywhere, so it's very hard to find the information that you need. I mean, very hard. So, alright, let's see here now. So, we have 251, more on Baphomet. Baphomet, I don't know why people like to say that. So 251, just trying to find, it's really hard. Really, really hard to find any kind of information on Baphomet. Alright, so, alright, here we go. This is really good. This is really good information, especially if you guys are wondering what Baphomet is. No, we don't worship Baphomet. It is an encompassing umbrella, all-inclusive. Alright, so, here we go. So, let us declare here, this is Levi's words, so let us declare here without bandying about the great magical agent, because Baphomet is the great magical agent. So, the double current of light, the living and astral fire of the earth, was symbolized by the serpent with the head of a bull, of a goat, or of a dog. In the ancient Theogonies. So it is the double serpent of Caduceus. It is the ancient serpent of Genesis, but it is also the brazen serpent of Moses. So interlaced with the Tau, this is to say the generative lingam. It is also the goat of the Sabbath and the Baphomet of the Templars. It is the Hyle of the Gnostics. It is the double tail of the serpent, which from the form the legs of the solar cockerill of Abraxas. So finally, it is the devil of M. Wades de Merville, and is actually the blind force that souls must conquer to break free of the chains of the earth. So, it's very interesting. It's really, really interesting. So, right, because if their will does not detach from this fatal magnetism, they will then be absorbed into the current by the force which produced them, and will return to the central and eternal fire. So, it's pretty interesting. It's really actually very interesting, and that's talking about, being intoxicated by the astral light. So when you become intoxicated by the astral light, that's when you become obsessed, completely and utterly obsessed. Nothing else in the world matters to you except for your workings and your magic. That's it. That's all you do. Nothing else. Literally. That's why, John Dee went crazy. Aleister Crowley went crazy. So basically, all magical work thus consists of freeing oneself from the coils of an ancient serpent, then placing one's foot on his head and driving him where one wishes. So, now let's see where else we have Baphomet in here. So, alright, 316. There's just so much. There's so much information, and you can't find it. It's so hard to find. It really is really hard to find. Alright, so 316, we have more on Baphomet. Alright, so yes, it is our profound conviction that the Grand Masters of the Order of the Templars adored Baphomet and made their initiates adore him. So I don't see him as a him. I see it as both in it. So, yes, there existed and might still exist assemblies presided over by that figure sitting on a throne with his ardent torch between his horns. Only the adorers of this sign do not think as we do. That is the representation of the devil, but that of God Pan, the god of our schools of modern philosophy, the god of the Theragists of the school of Alexandria, and of the mystic Neoplatonists of our day, the god of Lamartine, and of Victor Cousin, the god of Spinoza and of Plato, the god of the primordial Gnostic schools, the actual Christ of the descent priesthood. And that last qualification given to the goat of black magic will not survive those who study religious antiquities, and have followed in their diverse transformations the phases of symbolism and of doctrine, either in India or in Egypt or in Judea. So, lots of information on Baphomet. There's just so much that I can't even describe. So, but the bull, the dog, and the goat are three symbolic animals of Hermetic magic, so in which are summarized all the traditions of Egypt and India. So this is really, it comes from the Middle East. I love it. Everything comes from the Middle East. Everything starts from Egypt and India. So the bull represents the earth or the philosopher's salt. The dog is the Hermanubis, the mercury of the sages. The fluid, the air, and the water. The goat represents the fire, and he is the same, at the same time, is the symbol of regeneration. Alright, so this is pretty interesting. Alright, now, in Judea, they consecrated two goats, one pure, the other impure. The pure was sacrificed in expiation for sins, the other charged through imprecation, whatever, with these same sins, so was freed into the desert. So a strange thing, but a profound symbolism, reconciliation through devotion and expiation through liberty. Yet all the fathers who occupied themselves with Jewish symbolism recognized in their immortal goat the figure of the one who took away, they say, the form itself of sin. So thus the Gnostics were not outside the symbolic traditions when they gave Christ, the liberator, the mystical figure of the goat. So it's literally, people refer to, if you go back into these centuries within these books, we are literally, Baphomet would be Christ. The Christ consciousness, all of that. Christ consciousness, if you look on Google Images and look for Christ plus Baphomet, you'll find the image, and it's pretty interesting. It's really interesting. But, so there's a lot more, so. But all of the Kabbalah and all of the magic, in fact, show the cult of the sacrificial goat, and that of the emissary goat. So there's two sides to Baphomet. So thus there is the magic of the sanctuary and the magic of the desert, the white church and the black church, the priesthood of the public assemblies, and the Shenedrin of the Sabbath. So the goat, which is represented on our front piece, has the sign of the pentagram on his forehead, point upwards. That's how it should be, which suffices for it to be a symbol of the light. With two hands he makes the sign of occultism, and points above to the white moon of Chesed, and below to the black moon of Geburah. So, the sign expresses the perfect accord between mercy and justice. Okay, so one of his arms is feminine, the other is masculine. So like Kunrath's and Androgynon, whose attributes we had to unite with our goat, since it is the unique and same symbol. The torch of intelligence, which shines bright between his horns, is the magical light of universal equilibrium. It is also the figure of the soul risen above matter, even though it comes from matter as a flame rises from the torch. The hideous animal head expresses the horror of sin, for which the material agent solely responsible for it must forever carry the punishment, because the soul is imperturbable by nature and can only suffer by materializing. So the caduceus, which takes the place of the generative organ, represents eternal life. So the belly is covered in scales. In scales is water. So the circle, which is above the atmosphere, the feathers which come thereafter, are the emblem of the volatile. Then humanity is represented by the two breasts and the androgynous arms of the Sphinx of the occult sciences. Alright, so it's really interesting. We have a lot. I mean, there's so much on Baphomet, you guys. It is insane. But everybody keeps asking me, what is Baphomet? Who is Baphomet? How do I work with Baphomet? You gotta do that work yourself. Inner work. That's a lot of inner work to do. You gotta realize and understand and come to your own realization what Baphomet means to you. What does Baphomet represent to you? For me, it represents magic. It represents everything. The all, the source, spirit, God, goddess, male, female, light, dark, positive, negative, North Pole, South Pole, magnetism. So, alright, so thus in the darkness of the internal sanctuary dissipated, thus is the Sphinx of the terrors of the Middle Ages summarized and thrown off his throne. So something about Lucifer, the terrible Baphomet is no more, like all those other monstrous idols, enigmas of the ancient science and its dreams. It is but an innocent and even pious hieroglyph. So how could man have adored the beast, since he exerts a sovereign empire over it? So let us say, for the honor of humanity, that it never adored dogs and goats more than lambs and pigeons. In terms of hieroglyphs, why a goat rather than a lamb? On the sacred stones of the Gnostic Christians of the sects of Basilides. So we see representations of the Christ as diverse animal figures from the Kabbalah. Sometimes a bull, sometimes a lion, sometimes a serpent with the head of a lion or of a bull. Then that can lead back to Valak, the kid that has the wings, the angel wings. The little boy rides on a dragon. So everywhere he has the same attributes of light, like our goat, whose sign of the pentagram stops one from taking him for a fabulous image of Satan. So it's not to really represent the devil, but it does encompass that too. So let us say it aloud. To combat against the remains of Manichaeism, which still arises in our time among Christians, that Satan, as a superior personality and as a power, does not exist. Satan is the personification of all errors, of all perseverity, and in consequence of all weakness. So, if God can be defined as he who necessarily exists, we cannot define his antagonist and his enemy as he who necessarily does not exist. So, I mean, it's really interesting. We have a lot of stuff to go through. I mean, you just can't. I mean, it's just, scattered everywhere through this entire book. So it's really hard to actually find this stuff on Baphomet. So, alright, what did I do? 318 already, guys? Yeah, I did. So 318, Baphomet, 318, 323. Alright, 323. We'll get more insight on Baphomet. 323. Alright, so yeah, it's basically the Sabbath, the goat. So, alright, now the rites of the Gnostic Sabbath were transmitted in Germany. So, to an association which took the name of Mopses. Now, Mopses, so this is the least ingenious. It is only fair to Levi to know that equally imaginative interpretations of the name Baphomet have been found abundant in occult writing. So, just another name. So, they replaced the Kabbalistic goat with the Hermetic dog, and the reception of male or female candidates, because the order admitted ladies. They bring them blindfolded. They make those infernal noises around them, which makes people give it the name Sabbath of Sabbath due to all the inexplicable rumors. They ask them if they are afraid of the devil. They answer brusquely, propose that they choose between kissing the backside of the master, of that of Mops, who is a little figure of a dog covered in silk, and the substitute for the ancient grand idol of the goat of Mendes. So the Mopses has a sign of recognition, which is ridiculous grimace that reminds of the phantasmagorias of the ancient Sabbath and the masks of its assistants. So for the rest, their doctrine is summarized by the cult of love and liberty. So this association was produced when the Roman Catholic Church, of course, persecuted the Freemasons. So the Mopses claimed that they recruited only Catholics, and that they substituted the oath of reception with a solemn promise on their honor not to reveal any of the secrets of the association. It was nothing more than a promise, and religion no longer had anything to do with it. So, right now, the Baphomet of the Templars, whose name should be spelled Kabbalistically and in the inverse, is composed of three abbreviations: Tem, Oath, and Ab. So, Templi Onium Hominium Passus Abbas, Father of the Temple, the universal peace of men. So this is the last ingenious. So it is only fair to Levi to note that equally, I already read that. So Baphomet was, according to some, a monstrous head, according to others, a demon in this form of a goat. So a sculpted coffer was recently disinterred from, from the ruins of an old temple camaraderie, and antiquities had observed within it a Baphometic figure which conforms in its attributes to our goat of Mendes and to Kunrath's and Dragonin. So Levi was fooled here by Joseph von Hammer Purgstall, whose Mysterium Baphometis Revelatum, The Mystery of Baphomet Revealed, published in 1818, includes this among many other fake discoveries, redefining the Baphomet of the Templars as a hermaphroditic idol. So, it's pretty interesting. It's really interesting. So, alright, so the figure is bearded with the entire body of a woman. She holds in one hand the sun and in the other the moon, attached to chains. So it is a beautiful allegory that is virile, that this virile head attributes to thought alone, the principal, initiator, and creator. So the head here represents the mind, and the female body represents matter, the celestial bodies enchained to the human form, and directed by that nature whose intelligence is the head, also offer a most beautiful allegory. So the symbol in its ensemble was nonetheless found to be obscene and diabolical by the scholars who examined it. So it is no wonder, after that, to see the superstitions from the Middle Ages still being accredited in our day. One single thing surprises me. It is that, believing in the devil and his minions, we do not light the pious back up M. Veliot, who, like us, to do so. And he is the most logical of them. One should always honor men who have the courage of their own opinions. So, let us continue our curious research and arrive at the most horrible mysteries of the grimoire, those regarding the evocation of devils and pacts with hell. Alright, so the ideal of the void and the darkness inventing a sublime philosophy, which is the universal basis for the faith and the cornerstone of all temples. So, that is literally what Baphomet is. So much. So much. So, where else do we have to go here? So, we have 368 too. I mean, this book is so, it is just amazing. And you will find all kinds of stuff about Baphomet everywhere. Okay, so. Alright, so, now, which the Kabbalists call husks. Now, it is in order to express the law of prudence hieroglyphically, can't talk today, that they gave their Mercury, personified in Egypt by Hermanubis, the head of a dog, and to their sulfur, represented by the Baphomet of the temple, or the prince of the Sabbath, the goat head which made the occult associations of the Middle Ages so decried. So, it's just really interesting. It's really interesting. I mean, there is so much on Baphomet. So, you just literally have to get this book. It's amazing. It really is amazing. It talks about Thoth. Everything stems from Egypt. So, if you guys want to know about this book and about Baphomet, and he is right in the front, I think. I'm pretty sure he was. I will show you Baphomet. Okay, here is where people are thinking about. Okay, here's one with the goat and the lion head and the child and the eagle. So there is one kind of a representation of it. So it's a little bit different. I wonder if it'll kind of... There we go. So that's one image there. So that would be more like, well, no, this one would be more of, let's see, more like Kali. So we have that one. Yes, this whole book is highlighted, literally. So we have this one that is basically a Kali representation. So, very interesting stuff, isn't it, guys? Very interesting. So, there's nothing wrong, nothing bad about Baphomet, which, it really makes me, it doesn't make me mad that, people have taken it. So here, yes, this is Baphomet. That is Eliphas Levi's original drawing. So, that is Baphomet. So, there is just so much, and it's so interesting, and it's amazing, but you have to first find out how Baphomet is for you. Wow. When did I go to? Winter Park Winery in Fraser, Colorado. I don't know when I went there. But yes, this book right here, The Doctrine and Ritual of High Magic by Eliphas Levi. A new translation, if you want to get the old one, good for you. This will tell you all about Baphomet though. So that's what Baphomet represents to me. Exactly what it represents to me. So, but alright guys, I hope you enjoy. I love you all very much. And yes, do your research. Baphomet has lots of associations. There's one sacred plant that is sacred to Baphomet. What do you guys think that is? So, but alright guys, I will see you guys tomorrow. Love you all very much. There we go. All the way from Venus, all the way back down. There we go. So, I love you all. And yeah, I would wonder, I still want to know why my Baphomet statue cried. If anything else starts crying, I'm done. I'm over. But alright guys, I love you all very much, and I hope you guys have a great day.